Gamer Braves.
What's up everybody, this is Juan Emerald from Game Braves, and have I got news for you? We got to try Armored Core 6 and we spent quite a bit of time on it. And what I want to talk about today is the discussion about whether or not Armored Core 6 is a Souls game. Now let's face it, the Souls genre has pretty much exploded since the last Armored Core game came out, and a lot of fans were worried that Armored Core 6 might end up as just being Elden Ring but with a giant robot mod replacing your character. And I think it's important that I start this off by saying that is very much not the case. However, you can clearly see that these Souls games have had a positive influence on the development of Armored Core. The most important way you'd see this is in the repair kits. These are basically like Estus flasks and give you some pretty quick healing for your mechs. Armored Core games have not really had this kind of mechanic before, so it is strange to see them in Armored Core 6 now. That alongside with the resupply Sherpas, which act as checkpoints, which also top up your mechs after a long mission, you may be thinking like, you're going too Souls with this. However, there is a good reason for these. The reason is the mission size. Armored Core 6 has some huge missions. It's not an open world game, but the stages that they put you in are much bigger than you'd have seen in previous Armored Core titles. There's a lot of stuff to explore and even side objectives to do. In our interviews with the developers, they even confirmed that there would be strong enemies hidden off the main path that you can fight to collect rare guns off of. The problem with having something big like that is the old Armored Core format would not have supported this kind of thing. So you'd need to be able to top up your health and your ammo and the like if you want to support, going out and exploring. Where you're going to see the least Souls influence though is in the combat. Because as we all know, these Souls games are fairly defense-oriented games. That's why you have the Dark Souls shuffle, where you just kind of like strafe around the enemy like that and wait for them to leave an opening. You really don't get that in Armored Core. In Armored Core 6, guess what? The bosses have a gun. Do you know how many startup frames a Glock has? Not many, I'll tell you that. You are expected to be zipping around and using the really good flight control to change directions the moment you think you're about to come face to face with a bullet. I should point out that the Armored Core 6 combat is definitely the most aggressive the series has been, but far from the fastest. It is definitely slower than 4, but not as slow as 5. Instead, how this works in the game is that it's about pushing your advantage. If you can get the boss to have an opening, then you want to be using the new Assault Boost feature, which is basically, what if I just floored the gas pedal of my giant robot straight into the enemy so that I could whack it with my big pulse sword? That's basically what the Assault Boost does. It also has traversal uses, but we don't talk about that. We're here to talk about beating up giant robots. The other thing that really sets it apart from Souls games is the kind of location-based fighting for the bigger bosses. One of the bosses we fought was the Juggernaut, who could not be attacked from the front, so you had to be able to use your maneuverability and stuff to get behind it and attack it. I can't speak for the rest of the bosses in this game, but I really hope we see this mechanic more and more, because Armored Core feels very fun to handle, and bosses like this give you a reason to use it. It's a lot of fun, and I really hope there's some zany weapons that we can use to make the maneuverability feel extra good. Aside from that, the rest of the game is very much the Armored Core that you've come to know and love. It's still very much about spreadsheets and building your ideal mech, and it's still very much about getting a very heartbreaking bill at the end of every mission deducting from your paycheck. Listen man, giant robots may be cool, but they are expensive to maintain. Be thankful that unlike a car, they don't depreciate year on year, eh? That being said, I can see why there was so much concern about Armored Core just being a Souls game. Let's face it, Armored Core is from the older days of From Software, way before they became a much more household name with titles like Dark Souls. Back then, Armored Core was in the limelight, and then it basically got pushed aside for almost a decade while everyone else was focused on Miyazaki's Berserk fanfiction. I understand that feeling of being scared that something you like is having its uniqueness stripped away to better relate to other things. But having tried out Armored Core 6, I can tell you those concerns are completely unfounded. Everything you loved about Armored Core is still there, and every lesson that they took from Souls games is just a way to present you something new and exciting that honestly makes this one of the more fun Armored Core entries. I kind of wish we had more time with Armored Core 6, not because they didn't give us enough time. We got like a whole 4 hours to play it, just because I want to play more Armored Core. Thankfully, game comes out August 25th, so it's not that much longer to wait before I can put on my sweatpants, call in sick on Friday, and then disappear for the whole weekend. Remember children, I dig giant robots, you dig giant robots. we dig giant robots, and chicks dig giant robots. This is Juan from Game Braves. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Don't forget to give us a subscribe if you'd like to see more, and like so we know what kind of content you want to see. Got suggestions for new content? Let us know in the comments below too. Thank you so much again for watching. Take care, dudes.